Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you have ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer chaotic pace of an Illinois ballroom dance competition, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. So today, we're diving straight into recent competition guidelines to figure out how to take all that chaos and turn it into a strategic, totally predictable roadmap.
I mean, think about it. You can have the absolute most flawless routine on the planet. But, as the guidelines point out, if you miss your call time or accidentally skip your warm-up, well, all that preparation literally goes right out the window. Nailing your timing, really understanding those warm-up windows, and knowing the exact minute registration closes, that is the hidden secret to a truly successful performance. It's all about controlling the variables you can actually control.
All right, we've got a tight schedule ourselves today, covering 5 key areas. First up, the competition framework. Second, arrival and check-in. Third, taking the dance floor. Fourth, the spectator experience. And finally, we'll wrap up with some pro planning tips. Okay, section 1. Let's look at the competition framework and get a real feel for the flow of the day. Now, you're probably pretty familiar with how the day is chopped up into heats and rounds, right? You've got divisions meticulously grouped by age and skill level. But the really interesting thing the sources highlight is that even though the specific organizers, the venues, or the touring circuits might change, this fundamental underlying framework, it stays remarkably consistent across almost all Illinois events. So the events usually move through a really strict sequence. You start with preliminaries, move on to subsequent levels, and then bam, you hit the finals. And as a competitor, you've got to anticipate that between these rounds, the floors and the judging panels are usually going to reset. The whole show shifts gears entirely from one division to the next, and then the results are announced right at the conclusion of each specific category. Moving on to Section 2, Arrival and Check-in. Let's talk about your morning roadmap. So the morning always follows this really tight sequence. First off, the venue opens up early, specifically for check-in and warm-ups. And it's super critical to note that registration is often going to close way before the actual dancing even starts. They build this window in intentionally so that any last-minute verifications, things like confirming your event placement or double-checking division rules, are completely handled long before those first scheduled rounds kick off. The biggest takeaway here? Never, ever assume your heat time hasn't shifted. Pro competitors will literally review the posted brackets the second they walk through the door. Because if there's even a tiny bit of uncertainty, asking the staff right away gives you peace of mind. And hey, peace of mind translates directly to confidence out there on the floor. All right, Section 3, taking the dance floor. This is the competitor's moment. What's genuinely fascinating when you read through the guidelines is just how formal and strictly rule-based the actual competition floor is. I mean, this is definitely not a casual showcase. Whether you're dancing solo or in a partnership, precision is literally everything. You're called to the floor at very specific times, which means music cues, performance etiquette, and staging are handled like absolute clockwork. And while you're out there in that super formal setup, the judges are completely zeroing in on 4 things: technique, presentation, timing, and overall performance quality. But here is a really comforting thought drawn straight from the source material. Despite the crazy fast pace of these heats, the schedule is purposefully designed so that dancers will always have clear opportunities to physically and mentally prep before their specific music cues up. Now for Section 4, the spectator experience. Let's talk about cheering from the sidelines. It is actually wild how much of a dual experience competition day really is. Look at the stark difference in focus here. While the competitors are incredibly internally focused, worrying about buffer times, finding their assigned warm-up areas, being ready for their music, spectators have a completely different job. They have to be totally externally focused. They're tracking the event boards, listening super closely to the MC's brief intros, and trying to catch those incredibly rapid transitions between heats so they don't miss whoever they came to see. And the energy, it absolutely skyrockets as the day goes on, especially when the finalists and the higher skill categories finally take the floor. Because organizers transition so rapidly between these categories and dancers are often performing multiple times, you really have to stay alert. So the best advice from the guidelines for spectators: arrive a little early, keep your eyes glued to those live updates, and honestly, wear comfortable shoes. I mean, trying to track your favorite dancer across all those rapid heat transitions is practically a workout all on its own. Finally, Section 5, Pro Planning Tips. Time to master the details. To truly master the day, the sources highlight this really strict 3-point checklist. First, guarantee complete wardrobe readiness before you even leave your house. You've got to eliminate those morning off variables. Second, nail down your music timing so there are absolutely no surprises. And third, intentionally build in buffer time. That buffer is your ultimate safety net if the schedule runs fast, or hey, if you just need a quick second to breathe.
Let's talk real-world logistics for a second. Illinois venues get unbelievably busy with super heavy attendance, especially on weekends. You absolutely must factor extra travel and parking time into your morning schedule. Because let's be real, nothing spikes a competitor's heart rate faster than desperately circling a packed parking lot when they should already be inside checking their heat list.
And hey, if you are traveling from out of town, verifying all the official rules, stuff like specific age cutoffs and division names, is totally non-negotiable. Always confirm the recommended arrival windows and double-check if there are nearby warm-up facilities you can actually use. Every organizer is just a little bit different, and mastering these tiny details, that's exactly what separates the pros from everyone else. So when it really comes down to it, succeeding at an Illinois ballroom dance competition is all about eliminating the unknown. By mastering the scheduling framework, understanding the flow from the preliminaries all the way to the finals, and verifying those official postings, you take what looks like total competition chaos and turn it into a focused, highly predictable roadmap. The structure is right there waiting for you. You just have to use it. Which leaves us with really only one final question. You know the schedule, you know the rules. Are you ready to step onto the floor?